It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
All right, let's waste no time, man. Let's get into it. Our first mock draft. Now, guys, we're using PFF. Understand the grades may show Fs across the board. It's because PFF disagrees with the picks we take and vice versa. We may take a guy that had a high PFF grade, and PFF says that's an awesome pick. But in real life, he may end up being cheeks, right? So, again, this is just one of many platforms. We'll bounce around. We'll use the mock draft database one on down the road. We'll probably use the draft network and others. So this is the PFF one. Again, we're going 4 rounds. And we're going turbo speed so we can get through it quick. And let's start it off, Tim. Let's get going here, man. So the first pick, we are on the board here with pick 52. Again, we're going to set the needs, like we said, interior offensive line. We're going to include offensive tackle because we know the Packers love kicking those guys inside, right? Whether we agree with it or not, we know that's on the table. We'll set cornerback and we'll set defensive line as well, or defensive tackle. So one thing that I like to look at here, guys, is who are the top prospects on the board when you're picking, okay? At the top of the list of those positions of need, Keontae Scott, cornerback out of Miami, D'Angelo Pons, cornerback out of Indiana. Tim, this is one of my favorite prospects. Unfortunately, he's extremely short, and we know as soon as we draft him, and we may draft him, I don't know, but as soon as you draft him, the mock draft experts come out of the woodwork and go, Goody would never do that. He's too short. So we got to be prepared for that, and I'm going to try to ignore it this year as it's already started on X, to be honest with you. So D'Angelo Pons, a stud. Dante Corleone,
hey, forget about it.
I think I heard he was the best guy around, Tim. I don't know if you ever heard that or not either.
I've heard that a time or two, but then I watched a little tape, and I'm not
not as impressed. Dante Corleone, defensive lineman out of Cincinnati. Connor Lew, center out of Auburn. And then Dominic Orange, a.k.a. Big Citrus. I know Chris N's in the chat. He's going to love that one there. Defensive lineman out of Iowa State. So they're obviously ranked in the order of the PFF draft board. Tim, is there anybody here that grabs your attention before I start running down some numbers on our draft board here, man?
I'm with you on Pons for sure. Especially we just had the discussion about obviously corner is a need that we have. And like you said, when you see where you're picking and, who's really stacking up on the board, who's available, you got a couple of corners, you got a couple of D linemen, you got a center up there. So I would say D'Angelo Pons stands out despite the shortness factor, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, and Keontae Scott is in the 44 spot on our PTA big board. D'Angelo Pons, 29th. Yeah. So D'Angelo Pons pops. Now, why is he so high on our board? PFF grade in 2023, he was the 12th best corner. 24, he's fell to the 28th best corner, still a solid grade. Last year, 6th best corner in all of college football. The big board, PFF big board, had him at 58. The consensus big board had him at 62, so he lands with a 33.2 grade for us. If we were taking a corner, I would throw the hot to the side and say that's my guy here. However, you see down here on this list, you've got Connor Lew, right? Obviously a center. We know that's a position of need. Connor Lew is interesting because we've got him in the 55 spot. We've got Jake Slaughter in the 36 spot, actually the 34 spot. There's a couple placeholders there because of our boy Rusty Undercarriage, but that's a topic for another day. So if we were to look here and we were to go off of our PTA big board, and again, the grades are going to show really, really bad because we don't necessarily completely agree with PFF, although PFF's baked into our big board. For me, Tim, with Jake Slaughter being 34th and D'Angelo Pons being 29th, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So these are the decisions you're faced with, right? If you go with Pons, he's the better player per se, but center is a position of tier 2 importance. So here's the perfect scenario of, let's say you had a time machine and you could go, and this is how the draft fell, and then you could go back in free agency and go, boy, if we could get someone like D'Angelo Pons, and again, I know he's undersized. I know people are going to say that. It's okay. We're just doing a mock draft. Imagine if you could get D'Angelo Pons after you got Tyler Lindenberg in the or Linderbaum, I'm sorry, at the center position in free agency. Boy, you would really be feeling good going, we got one of the best corners in the draft, a steal there at that pick at 52, and you also got the best center in free agency. I would feel great about filling two of those top needs right off the bat.
I agree. Unfortunately, we don't have perfect hindsight when you're trying to put this together, right? Put yourself in the GM's shoes. Everything's coming out right now. There's no guarantees in free agency. There's no guarantees in the draft. So you got to kind of go with your positions and needs and your gut. But I 100% agree with you. I think we're going corner or center here with this pick, regardless of who it might be.
And the other problem here, Tim, is if you don't go center right here, who's going to be available when you pick at 84, right? So if we were to go on down the line here and just look for center, there's Jake Slaughter. He's probably going to be gone at 84. Now, again, they're showing him significantly lower than where we have him. We have him as the best center in the draft. If we have time, we're going to do a prospect profile, a scouting report on him at the end of this show, just to show why we like him so much.
Yep. And Connor Lew will be gone as well, if we don't take him here.
Absolutely. So it's tough, man. Position of importance, does that jump in my whole tier? Probably not, because it's not tier 1. We're going to do it, man. We're going to go D'Angelo Pons here, and I'm going to see if one of the fan favorite centers are available later, because I know he's still available right now. Where is our boy at from Iowa? Is he that far down? No, he ain't. Surely he's not. Have we already passed him? You guys know who I'm talking about too. If you've been listening to the show, I don't see him here yet. Maybe he is a little bit further. Let me go a little bit further. There is Logan Jones.
Jones.
They've got him at 168, Tim. 168, right? We've got Logan Jones. Where are you at, sir? At 70 or at the 70 mark. So
if we could get him at 84, that's pretty good.
So if you go D'Angelo Pons at 52 and then come back and get Logan Jones from Iowa at 84, and he will be available. It'll look like we could actually get him at 120, to be honest with you here, according to PFF. Now, maybe that's a bit of a stretch. Why don't we try that? Again, we do these mock drafts to kind of test the system and see, all right, where could these guys potentially fall, right? So let's go with the undersized, and we're going to get raked over the coals for him being undersized. D'Angelo Pond with our first pick here, okay? If I can find him again, where the heck did he go?
He should be higher up.
Oh, yeah, we're on the other page. So that's one thing I do not like about PFF is you got to go to the bottom of the screen. So we're going to go D'Angelo Pons with the 52nd overall pick, all right? So there you go. You are a Green Bay Packer, D'Angelo Pons. So you got your cornerback. We got 2 picks left in this 4-round mock draft. Tim, are you seeing who's on the board right now, sir? We got Jake Slaughter.
Look at that. Click the draft right now. Just click on the button.
So, again, center, obviously an important position. If you go out and get Tyler Linderbaum or one of those free agents, it wouldn't be a need, right? So I can understand, like right here, if you did go get Linderbaum, obviously it'd be hard to pass up on Jake Slaughter, but you're probably going to do it. Now, maybe as the Packers do their own mock draft research, they find out, you know what, Jake Slaughter will probably be there at 84. Maybe we don't go after Linderbaum if they like Jake Slaughter. They may like Logan Jones way better, right? We don't know. So another need that we had listed was defensive tackle. So let's reset the board. I understand we could still use another corner, guys, but for mock draft purposes, what we're going to do is keep corner off this time. So we're going to do offensive tackle, interior offensive line, and then we're going to go defensive line, okay? So let's see what defensive linemen pop here. You got Darrell Jackson, and I'm going to do a quick search on our board just to see where we have Darrell Jackson at. We have him in the 109 spot, Tim. And then a couple of tackles here too, man, with Isaiah World and Brian Parker II. Pretty solid prospects. I think Brian Parker is one of those that's going to be great value for wherever he's taken at. Let me just put him into the system here real quick. Parker, he's 57th. Wow. But again,
Jake have Isaiah World on our board.
Yeah, I want to say we're not as high on him. Yeah, he's 127 on our board, Tim.
Okay.
So, so Isaiah World, a little bit lower. Jake Slaughter is still higher than obviously Brian Parker. Let me just check Skylar Gil Howard real quick to make sure he's not a stud sitting there, right? Gil Howard, he's in the 104 spot. So this is a no-brainer, Tim. We're going to go with Jake Slaughter. Do you have any pushback on that at all, man?
Zero objections with a center named Slaughter. I will take that all day. Let's go.
Absolutely. And Soder's already saying trade back. So you guys know the rule here. We try not to trade back too much because you can manipulate the heck out of the PFF database. You can do the same thing on the mock draft database as well. We could trade back and knock this thing out of the park. We're only doing 3 picks here. So that's another reason. I wanted to keep this under 20 minutes for the mock draft segment. So I'm with you, Soder. I can see how you want to trade back to go, okay, you got Jake Slaughter, you got Brian Parker. Probably would have traded back with the first pick, to be honest with you. And that would have been the time to do it. So don't necessarily disagree with you, but we're going to go ahead and stick and pick here. We're going to go Jake Slaughter, center, out of Florida. So we've already got 2 positions of need filled. Both of them, according to our PTA big board, were great picks. Now, PFF will probably disagree here in a minute. So now the only need that we really had left was defensive tackle, Tim. We may add something else to it in a minute. But let's see if we missed out on some studs down the stretch here, or should we just go offensive line again? So the top available are Tim Keenan, defensive lineman out of Alabama. David, is it Oak or OK maybe?
Okay.
Out of Arkansas or Kansas. Carl Brevard out of Texas. DeMonte Capehart out of Clemson. And Xavier Harris out of Ole Miss, along with Zane Durant, defensive lineman out of Penn State. I'm going to check a couple of these top 2 here real quick just to see. Anything catch your attention there, or maybe anything in the chat that you want to hit while I look this up?
I'm kind of scrolling our board too, looking for some of these names.
138 for Tim Keenan. All right, so keep that number for me, Tim. 138. And then David Oakey is actually 221, way down the list. All right. And then you've got Brevard. Cole Brevard is 192. Let's check 2 more here real quick. Capehart is 191, so he's right there in the same tier. And then Xavier Harris is 170. And then one last one here, Zane Durant, is 293 as it sits right now. So to me, this is a no-brainer, man. If we're going to go defensive tackle, it would be Tim Keenan, who is sitting in the 137 spot for us. So it'd be a little bit of a reach according to where PFF has him. So there's probably some other positions that would be a little more enticing. So if we close that out and just look at the best players available, is there anything here at a position that's not of need that we would be interested in going grab? And say, for instance, let's do this. Let's go offensive tackle, interior offensive line, because we know we need depth there as well, and defensive line, right? So DJ Campbell pops up. Obviously, he's a guard out of Texas. Let's see what DJ Campbell looks like. And
because otherwise we're back to Keenan or Oki.
118, Tim. Yeah. 118. And then Keelan Rutledge might be our guy too. So 118 for the first one. Yeah. So Keelan Rutledge is 93rd on our big board. 93rd. I see my boy Emil Wagner down there. I'm not as high on Emil Wagner other than the fact that he played for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So Keelan Rutledge, hands down, would be our pick here. I love Soder with the information here. Yeah. Skylar Gill Howard, place of birth, Milwaukee.
Milltown. Shout out to my hometown. That's probably my only allegiance to Skylar Gill Howard. He's a Milwaukee kid.
So I think this is a no-brainer, boys. We're going to go with Georgia Tech, Keelan Rutledge here, okay? Again, so we got basically 3 top 100 prospects, right? And we're this pick here, obviously a top 100 prospect at pick 120, I think will be great. Let's see what PFF says about this mock draft as they're grading it out. Yeah, so they didn't think it was great. We got a B-, B, and a C. Now, obviously, like I said, the reason that our board is a little bit different than the PFF board. PFF's baked into our big board, obviously, right? Yep. So you've got the consensus big board that's got some stuff in there as well. So you got PFF grades, PFF big board, and you've got the consensus big board. So that's how it gets a little off track there. Man, I wish I'd checked. I'm so sorry, Bates. He said, can you check to see if Logan Jones is still there? I'd say he probably is, Bates, I would imagine, because he was ranked in the 170s. I have a hard time believing he would have went 50 picks too early. So, and again, is that realistic, right? Because people roast PFF every year going, they don't know when the picks are actually going to happen. That's why you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt there. So if he was there, we obviously wouldn't take 2 swings at center. I think we would all agree. That's why I'd like to go like Keelan Rutledge, someone who could potentially play guard. So imagine this scenario right here. Yeah, appreciate you though, Bates. I know what you're thinking there too, man. I'm 99% sure he was there. So that's good information to have, right? So you could potentially wait until the 4th round to go get Logan Jones if PFF has the projections right. So now, Tim, imagine this. If you did not go out and get Tyler Linderbaum, what you're going to end up having happen is Jake Slaughter will probably be your starting center. You're starting a rookie center. Oh, no, we went young again, right? So now the question becomes, do you make an offer or a restructure to Elton Jenkins and kick him back to left guard, move on from Aaron Banks? Do you keep Aaron Banks and move on from Elton Jenkins and free up $20 million? These are all the questions we've got to answer, right?
Yep. And we talked about that a couple of shows back too. You know, the idea of, maybe you do keep Big E around and move him back to what I think is more of a natural spot for him, which is left guard. So a lot of decisions to make, but I'm not entirely opposed to the idea of getting a true center in here in the draft, throwing him into the fire, letting him work through OTAs, camp, and just be that guy moving forward and build around him, get him working with Jordan, and build that chemistry and see how he does. Otherwise, yeah, we better hit something in free agency.
Right.
Maybe you do want to go a little bit more experienced at center and free up other opportunities to maybe pick up somebody else in the draft. So a lot of choices.
Yeah. So, and when you look at it, we keep talking about how young this roster is, In this scenario, let's say you move on from Elton Jenkins, you move on from Aaron Banks, both. You do a post-June 1 cut with Aaron Banks, you free up, I can't remember what it is, like $15 or $18 million, somewhere around there with the post-June. Now, you got to carry that cap until that date, obviously. But now, all of a sudden, you've got a rookie center and potentially a rookie left guard, right? Yep. That's not ideal. So it's why we do these exercises, is because you want to look up at the end of the day and go, okay, how do we fall within the parameters that we kind of set for ourselves? And all right, we want this roster to get a little bit older, a little more veteran, right? But we're also looking at the cap hit that comes attached to Aaron Banks and Elton Jenkins, which I think we would all agree is way, way too inflated. So you're kind of stuck in a catch-22 there. It tells me you need to be aggressive in free agency to go get another offensive lineman and try to hit on, right? And maybe they're banking on Aaron Banks being great in year 2 with the system. I don't know. I don't like that idea, to be honest with you. And I see people, like we said, they would come in here out of the woodworks. D'Angelo Pons is undersized. We know he's undersized. We're just going off the board. And, we had to hear the same thing about Brian Branch too. Then Brian Branch comes to the league and he's a hell of a player. And all of a sudden the people that said he was too small, they're not saying anything, right?
Yep.
But I will say this. Goody's got a type, and that's another flaw that I think Goody has, is he sticks sometimes too much to the prototype, although I feel like last year he got away from it a little bit than he normally does, but nonetheless, it still can be a problem for sure. So with that being said, if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know what you think of the first mock draft of the season. How did you feel about the picks? Again, with the 52nd pick, we went cornerback out of your national champion Indiana Hoosiers, D'Angelo Pons. With number 84, we went center out of the SEC, University of Florida, Jake Slaughter. And then at pick 120 there in the 4th round, we went guard, Georgia Tech, Keelan Rutledge. Let us know what you think about those picks in the comments. Who would you rather have? Maybe you got a corner you like better. Maybe you got a center you like better. Maybe you got a guard you like better. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you know when we go live in the future.